Shut up and sit down.
Hey everybody, welcome to the KF Podcast. New Mutants movie review. Forgot what the hell I was going to say.
Movie review?
Movie.
It's COVID. How did we go to a movie?
I don't know, but we did. But if you just stumbled across this here, check us out at kfpodcast.com or the KF Podcast on all your social media sites and wherever you get your podcasts from. Look at KF Podcast, look us up, listen to the Week in Review, and anything else that we do. But today we actually went to a movie for the first time since March.
Bloodshot was
the
last movie we saw in the theater.
Right. Just me and Justin, no Ken, no Brock, just us.
Just the
and
two.
What, 6 other people?
Something like that. There wasn't very many people there.
Yeah. They had horrible popcorn.
Yeah, the popcorn wasn't very good.
It tasted like it's been there since March. The caramel corn that I got, that shit was horrible.
Yeah, the butter, I think the butter had been in that machine since March.
It was like a brick, that caramel. Remember how much it weighed?
Yeah, it was heavy.
It was so bad. It tasted like absolute horse shit. It was terrible.
I was pleasantly surprised at the seating, though.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of renovations since they've been closed.
Our theater, cramming new seating, new everything. Pretty good. Oh, excuse me. So, we're going to spoil this movie, right?
Yeah, there's no sense in doing non-spoilers.
On the Week in Review, we'll do some non-spoilers.
Yeah.
So, go out and listen to Week in Review if you want to hear non-spoilers. But this is full-on spoilers. Give them the warning.
Spoilers!
And there you go. Oh, shit, that was loud. Me and Justin are sitting at his desk, and, like, we're so out of sorts here. Because he's, like, facing the screen. I'm, like, just sitting next to him like I'm shadowing him on his job. Is what this feels like.
I'm trying to turn around so I can actually face the microphone now.
And you have to kind of like stare at me, and I stare at you. It's very weird. It's a very strange scenario.
Well, if I could find the laptop or the cord for my laptop, this wouldn't be a problem.
Maybe if you put some of this shit away,
cut me some slack. It just needs to be functional.
Then we can find it. But anyway, we're gonna spoil this movie. This is New Mutants. Let's just give some general thoughts on it first, because I was confused.
I was a little confused because I don't really know the power set of really any of the New Mutants in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I did enjoy the movie though, and it's very possible that it's just because it's the first movie I've seen in the theater since March.
Maybe,
but I found myself at the end disappointed, knowing that this is it. We're not going to get anything else other than this.
Right.
And I kind of wanted to see where the characters would go, which tells me I must have enjoyed the movie.
So this movie, and this is a spoiler, this fits perfectly in between X-Men Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix. Fits right in the middle. Because if you remember the end of Dark Phoenix, of X-Men Apocalypse, that lab that Weapon X destroys, the Essex Corporation comes through with an Essex briefcase, and they're sampling mutants, and they do all that. This leads like right into it, because Essex is all about the people that own this facility and all that. It's Mr. Sinister.
Yeah.
So if it was still continuing in an X-Men realm, this is a nice little diversion path with some newer mutants, which makes sense, and a little like separate story that does involve the X-Men, because they reference the X-Men, they reference Professor X.
Yeah.
And then you're right, it just dies at the end. Like, I think they should have left the secret ending in where Xavier and Storm show up to recruit him. Why not? What does it matter? I mean, you're not doing anything with it. There's no way this movie fits into the Marvel Universe timeline. No. You can't interject it, because they've already dropped X-Men and Mutants, which they haven't even touched on yet. Yeah. So,
and you could, and it was, they made it a point in several scenes to date this in the 90s. Yeah. Because they kept, whenever they were in there...
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, they were watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah. So if they were to somehow say this was, like, related, they would be much older now.
Yeah, you couldn't... I mean, these guys would be...
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could move forward, recast the characters, move forward and say that they're now older, and maybe start, like, which you would hate, the first X-Men movie, like the first team we get, is the old New Mutants.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm very passionate about these characters. I've always liked them my whole life. So it was cool seeing some versions of them, but it's a pointless movie. Like, if you watch this, I don't know why anybody would ever want to watch this movie again. Like, because it's not a movie that's built to be a standalone movie. It's a tie-in movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it ties into the other X-Men movies, and it's like a direct sequel right from Apocalypse, because it's the same thing. This secret company that's spying on mutants, stealing their DNA with the needles and the cell samples. So it's like, you had to know a little bit about that to get into this, and in the end, you kind of want to be like, all right, well, are they going to go find... Is Sinister going to come look for them? Are they going to fight? It's just over. So it's like such a pointless movie, which makes it hard for me to like get past. But as a movie itself, you know, it was okay. They never really explained in detail what they do. You know what I mean?
No, you didn't get any detail about any of their powers.
There wasn't a lot of meat to this movie. It was like, she arrives, hey, everybody doesn't kind of get along, has like secret past, some scary shit happens, now the demon bear comes and then it's over. Yeah. And that was really it.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, so spoilers, Danny she manifests the demon bear.
Yeah, because she has a power set that, her powers are a lot to get into, but like, she can manifest people's like darkest fears. She used to go by the code name Mirage. So she used to manifest your like scariest things and make them real so they would come at you. They kind of got away from her doing that, and she became more of a warrior because she has these like psionic abilities. So she would make psionic arrows and shoot them and do like psionic spears and knives and bullets and things like that. She became more of a fighter and a badass, and not so much with the whole I can make spooky things appear and stuff like that. You know?
More than appear. I mean, they were there.
Yeah, she manifests in real. They didn't really get into... She can communicate with like animals and calm them down like she did with the bear and all that.
Okay, so that was they were kind of hinting at Easter egg for the deep comic fans.
Yeah, so they never really got into really her other stuff. They kind of did the thing where they were showing psionic energy. They were talking about, psionic energy.
Yeah.
Which, if you're an X-Men fan, like, Jean's a level, whatever, psionic ability, you know, Xavier, all these people have psionic ability.
Okay.
You know, manifest that energy in them, and Danny's pretty powerful with that, you know. Ilana's another hard one to describe. Like, she has real goofy powers, too. They didn't really go into a lot of that.
No, they talked about her going into her special place, Limbo. Mm-hmm. And did her powers grow from Limbo, or did she, like, when as a child, when she was being attacked or whatever, and she said she spent too much time in Limbo, is that like, was her power to go there and then she developed more power?
She does get more power being there.
Okay.
Because she's like the demon queen when she's there, and gets like demonic demon legs and horns and all this stuff and everything.
Interesting.
When she rules, like, you know, Limbo and all these demon realms and that. But yeah, her soul sword, they did the whole sword, which looked good.
Yeah, look, I mean, from a special effects perspective, this movie was fantastic.
Yeah, and Wolfsbane was very same. You know, she can get werewolfy, but then full dog mode. You know? So they touched on all that. I even like how they did Sunspot flying around. I didn't like that he got hurt so much, because Sunspot's thing is when he's blasting...
Was that Sunspot or Cannonball?
Cannonball, sorry.
Okay, Cannonball.
When Cannonball's blasting, he's impervious to pain. So he has like a vulnerability shield around him.
Okay.
So that's why he's able to, like a cannonball, shoot himself at people, knock like the Juggernaut over, and his neck isn't broken from doing it.
Okay.
So the whole thing of him like shooting around in a circle and landing
bouncing
breaking arms didn't really make sense. Unless his power shut off and he landed hard, you know. But like, you know, cool when he was flying, when they were actually showing it, because he blasts like a cannonball, you know.
And I thought he did a good job. Like, the accent was not his real accent.
The Kentucky accent was good.
I thought he did well.
Roberto, I liked that they did Sunspot, where Sunspot's ability, like when he absorbs that solar energy, it also makes him strong. So they did do that.
Where he caught the stuff from the bear. And
he just turns like all black, like a blackout, like a sunspot, and looks like that. So I like that when they do that more than him just being a fire guy, because he's not a fire guy. Like, it's not like melting fire and all that, you know. Which that's how they portrayed him in Days of Future Past. He was like a fire guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's just a Human Torch. So I like that they went away. In the beginning, he was just fire guy. Then at the end, they did a little strong stuff, you know.
Now, what power did, like, is Dr. Reyes from the comics?
Yeah, so she's Cecilia Reyes. She was introduced, like, there was a time when they introduced these 3 mutants all at the same time. It was Marrow. She had bones that protruded out of her body. She was a Morlock. Maggot, whose intestines were like snails. He was real goofy. And then Dr. Reyes. And she, like, produces energy shields. So she was like a healer and a protector. She was never a fighter, so she became, like, the X-Men's, like, resident doctor.
Okay.
Still is. And she would just do those protection shields, and, like, Sentinels would attack and all that. They kind of amped up her power that she had it over the whole place. She was putting bubbles on people, and they made her a little bit more powerful.
Well, and she kind of knew what she was doing.
Yeah.
So if she was normally an X-Men in the comics, she wasn't really.
Sorry, my daughter. Sorry about that. When you have a kid at college, you got to answer the phone because you don't know if the dorm's burning, or if they need money, or they don't know how to get the Roku working.
Well, and then my realtor texted me, and I had to talk to her for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So
we were a
it's
little
out of
delayed.
sorts. More out of sorts for tonight.
But that's generally it. We talked about the setup. You know, I don't know. There really wasn't much else meat for this movie.
No.
The
like
bear was kind of... It was cool looking. There really wasn't much about it. The creepy guys were okay, you know.
Now I wonder, like, were those actually creepy guys, or was that just something she made up in her head because she was being abused as a child?
Ilana?
Yeah.
I don't know. They were weird.
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised she didn't mention Colossus, like her brother, at all.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They didn't do anything.
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
Rasputin. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what they remind me of? Because in the episode was on in the background,
like the Buffy show.
It was
yeah.
the
when
silent silent gentleman from
yeah,
from
those
Buffy
gentlemen
show.
would come. Yeah.
Yeah.
You had the love affair that they threw in between Wolfsbane and
Danny,
which obviously isn't comic book accurate. They are very close, like more like sisters in the book. You know, Danny, her, Magic. I mean, all those New Mutant girls are very, very tight. But they went with this. You know, I feel those love stories they just throw in. Like, how do you develop into this? You knew each other like 2 days. All of a sudden, it's this love for each other. It's just, you know, we gotta have a love story.
Well, and you know, it's
a modern love story.
They're, you know, traumatic events brought them together, and you know, they were 16. They were experimenting.
But yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like, what's there really only 6 people in that movie?
Yeah.
7 counting the dad? Like,
yeah.
It's a movie shot with 7 people, like, in an empty building. This movie should have been shot during COVID. It's a perfect COVID shooting movie.
Yeah. And it should have cost about $25 to make.
Yeah. Well, they did the effects.
Yeah, I mean, the effects after that, but...
I wonder if Marvel boosted up those effects. Like, if that was always what Magic looked like with the sword and all that.
I don't know. It's a good question. Fox was definitely trying to hide that. They didn't want people to see that. Or it was never done.
Yeah.
Like you said,
and
Marvel finished it.
I like the Lockheed stuff, that Lockheed wasn't real, and in real life, when we go through Limbo, he would come out and be an actual dragon.
Yeah.
Which, you know, kind of, they changed.
Yeah, he was cool.
He's cool. Lockheed's an X-Men favorite. Everyone loves Lockheed. He's with Ilana. He's with Kitty.
Okay.
You know, he's an X-Men staple. Lives at the mansion, you know.
All right.
So they had that. Not a lot of other Easter eggs after that, you know. Just really didn't really do a lot, you know.
No, it was a filler movie that was setting up what they wanted to do in the future.
Yeah. So if it would have kept on the X-Men timeline, you would have saw that movie at the end. You would have had James McAvoy and that Storm show up because it's in the 90s. Recruit them, right? Because that's when Apocalypse is it 80s or 90s? Apocalypse is 80s, and then Dark Phoenix is 90s, right?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, those movies
like
are like 40 years. James McAvoy looks the same.
Yeah,
you know, he gets more Xavier at the end of the Apocalypse movie. But they would have showed up, had them, and then maybe, if they would have done it right, because I think that movie was even filmed before Dark Phoenix.
I think
and
it
then
was.
just never came out. Maybe they could have been in Dark Phoenix, you know, at the end or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I did read the what's it called? The post credit scene that they ended up having to cut supposedly revealed Antonio Banderas as a character.
Probably
and
Mr. Sinister.
Mr. Sinister with all the Essex stuff. That was it. I read an article a while ago. I think maybe even Brock brought it up that he saw something that said there was a bunch of people online were speculating that Proteus was like the ultimate bad guy behind the whole thing. Yeah. Okay.
That obviously wasn't true.
Yeah.
It was Danny messing with everybody.
Okay.
I like that girl. She wasn't a bad young Danny. I mean, I don't know. Ideally, if I like to see Danny in another X-Men movie, I'd like her a little older and more of a badass.
More established in her.
Yeah.
I mean, this was really, it was her origin, like her power origin story.
I think Danny's a good character to have. You know, she's an American Indian. It's a very diverse storytelling. X-Men have always been at the forefront of telling true diverse stories, not something forced.
Yeah.
It's like feels unright. They had everybody covered. They had all bases covered, and it's good to see an American Indian superhero badass like Danny is. You know, I think that's something that would be cool to see in the future if they brought her back.
Yeah.
You know, and the girl that played Alana, she's a little strange looking in some scenes, but she had a good Alana vibe going. You know.
Yeah.
Very good vibe. I think they could have had more of a cast. I think you could have done a couple extra mutants there as well, too.
Yeah, even if they didn't have big parts, they were just...
Yeah.
You know.
A couple other people that... I think you should have done some people that were, like, sacrificed. Like, there were students there and then they were killed by her and they're wondering where they went.
Yeah.
You know, there's a ton of new mutants. You could have used Rusty Collins and Skids and all these other new mutant members that have been around, or Richter or anybody else, and been like... Oh, where are they at? Oh, they're gone. They took them, and they left, I like they snuck in, like, some code names a little bit.
Yeah.
Where I said he zips around like a cannonball. They did that,
They didn't say anything for Sunspot, I don't think, did they?
No.
And then Magic, she basically called herself Magic.
Yeah, and I guess Wolfsbane had the Wolves or
the
whatever.
W.
Yeah. Scene where she jumps down and, like, mauls Cecilia Reyes, that was, like, an odd... crazy scene.
Yeah.
Because, like, it looked like she landed on her and cut her up a little bit. Then when you saw her up close, her face is all cut up and everything.
Yeah, she messed her up.
They never really got around. Maybe the end scene is because you saw the guy that was constantly watching them.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense to me that Mr. Sinister, if he is the villain behind it, would be like, kill off Danny. Like, he likes powerful mutants. Powerful mutant gene DNA that he can get off. Well, he
said... Take the DNA and then kill her.
I would think he would want her to experiment on her more, and mess her up a little bit. It's so annoying to me that we were so close to Mr. Sinister through 50,000 X-Men movies that we had to sit through, and we were so close to him because he is my favorite. I love him, and we got a shit Apocalypse, that horrible Apocalypse, and then we were this close to getting like a cool Sinister run, and then it kind of fizzled out. Well, then Marvel bought them, and then
Maybe Marvel will go that route.
He's a different character. I know the route to go to is the easy Magneto route, which people like, but I feel if you're doing an MCU thing, that I wouldn't go Magneto first out of the gate. I would maybe introduce Eric Lenchner and maybe know that he is around and maybe a little spoiler for him, but I wouldn't go right out the gate with him. He's like Green Goblin, like they haven't done it yet with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I would start the first movie with Sinister. An evil scientist that collects mutants to experiment on them and experiment with their DNA and do things to them. It's a different route, You
don't need a build-up to him?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think you could just come out. Apocalypse you build to.
Yeah.
Magneto I think you can build to now. And like I said, I think you could introduce Eric Lenchner and be like, oh, he was my friend, and maybe show some scenes of him, but... You don't want Magneto right out the gate either. I feel like...
Well, because Marvel tends to get rid of their villains right away, and you don't want Magneto gone first out of the gate.
I want Magneto taking on the whole damn Avengers, is what I want. So, I don't know. We could sit here and rate that forever. But, yeah, New Mutants... I don't know. I don't even know how to rate this movie.
I'm just going to give it 2.5 cheese wheels, because I did enjoy myself. I at the end, I was disappointed that we're not going to get to see more.
Yeah.
It wasn't like fantastic.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a terrible movie either.
No.
So right in the middle, 2.5 cheese wheels.
I think I'll go 2.5 Dragon Balls too. I think that's exactly where it needs to be. It's just there.
Yep.
It's something like I said, I probably won't watch again. Maybe it's on Disney Plus. I'll sit there and watch it for free with the kids.
Yeah.
But it's just like, meh. Okay. And there you go.
All right.
All right.
Like, share, subscribe, invite, tell your friends. Check us out at kfpodcast.com, the KF Podcast on social media, and search the KF Podcast on all your podcasting websites. Later.